Welcome back to the Traveling Templar channel. Today's video is on the Rite of Baldwyn, an unusual system located in Bristol, England. This rite encompasses degrees similar to those found in Masonic Templary, Capitular Masonry, and the Scottish Rite. It is curious to note that Bristol is the only city that is itself a province within Freemasonry in England. This rite operates out of Freemasons' Hall in Bristol, and it is by invitation only. The Rite of Baldwyn takes its name from the early Crusader kings of the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem. This rite is composed of 7 degrees, but really these degrees could be also described as a body of degrees, as you will see later. Like much of early Freemasonry, it is difficult to study the Baldwin Rite, as there is little documentation that properly traces their lineage. The earliest reference to the Baldwin encampment is in January of 1772, when a reference to a meeting of Knights Templar at the Rose and Crown Inn in Bristol is recorded in Felix Farley's Bristol Journal. From such a casual mention of the Knights Templar, it seems that this wasn't anything new, or that the readers of this publication were already familiar with the meetings of that group. One theory is that the records of this rite were burned during the Stuart Rebellion. The most well-known document associated with the Baldwin encampment is the 1780 Charter of Compact, which was established when this Templar group constituted themselves as the Supreme Grand and Royal Encampment of Knights Templar of St. John of Jerusalem, Knights Hospitallers, and Knights of Malta, etc. The 1780 Charter was an early version of a constitution for the Rite of Baldwyn. From my research, many believe there was an earlier document that established this camp and others like the Camp of Antiquity in Bath, as well as in London, York, and Salisbury, but none has ever been found or brought to public knowledge. Some legends state that this rite stems from the medieval Templars who had a large presence in Bristol. Until 1791, there was no governing body over all Templary in England. In January of that year, a grand conclave, now called a Great Priory, was formed that took the official name of Grand Conclave of the Royal, Exalted, Religious, and Military Order of Herodom, Grand Elected Masonic Knights Templar Kadash of St. John of Jerusalem, Palestine, and Rhodes, etc. This formal name would be amended down the road when the ancient and accepted rite was established, which is the British version of the Scottish Rite. Initially, the Great Priory of Knights Templar was in amity with the Baldwin Rite, but that soon degraded when later Grand Masters refused to recognize the rights and privileges of the Baldwin Rite. The Baldwin Rite resumed its independence and flourished while the Great Priory slipped into dormancy. It wasn't until 1862 that the Great Priory and the Baldwin Rite were reconciled. When the Supreme Council of the Ancient and Accepted Rite was established in England in 1847, the Rose Crucis and Kadash degrees were severed from all Templar bodies except for those encampments established by the Baldwin Rite. The first degree is composed of those degrees of craft masonry, the entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. These degrees are worked by and under the authority of the United Grand Lodge of England. The second degree is the Holy Royal Arch. This degree is unique in England and it has rituals closer to that found in the United States. The third degree to the 7th degree is referred to as the Camp of Baldwyn. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th degrees are said to be unique to the Baldwin Rite, but their names remind me of degrees worked in the Scottish Rite, Royal Order of Scotland, and the Allied Masonic degrees. The 3rd degree is the Knights of the 9 Elected Masters. The 4th degree is the Ancient Order of Scots Knights Grand Architect, which is composed of the Order of Scots Knights Grand Architect and the Order of Scots Knights of Kilwinning. The 5th degree is the Knights of the East, the Sword, and Eagle. The 6th degree is the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem, Palestine, Rhodes, and Malta, which is composed of the 2 orders of Knights of St. John of Jerusalem and Knights Templar. The 6th degree is conferred by the Baldwin encampment, which otherwise falls under the authority of the Great Priory of England and Wales. The 7th and final degree is the Knights of the Rose Croix of Mount Carmel. This degree is worked in the Bristol chapter under the authority of the Supreme Council of the Ancient and Accepted Rite of England and Wales. It is curious to note that if a candidate of the Baldwin Rite has already gone through the Templar, Malta, and Rose Croix degrees elsewhere, he is considered a full member of the Rite. The 1780 Charter of Compact set out the original hierarchy of the Baldwin Rite, as mentioned earlier. Today, this rite is overseen by a Grand Superintendent, who is also, by virtue of his office, the Provincial Prior of Knights Templar in Bristol, and the Inspector General for the District of Bristol of the Ancient and Accepted Rite. The regalia worn in the first, second, and sixth degrees are generally the same as worn by their contemporaries in craft masonry, capitular masonry, and the Knights Templar in England. The regalia worn in the third, fourth, fifth, and seventh degrees is a breast jewel, and, in the seventh only, an apron unique to the Baldwin Rite. The jewel is a silver Maltese cross hanging from a black ribbon, and the apron is adorned with a pelican, which was used in the Ancient and Accepted Rite, but no longer. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and you can also follow me on X, Instagram, and Facebook.